There's a quote that goes, "If life is a battlefield, then lone wolves are the only real warriors." Now this statement implies that being a lone wolf is a conscious choice to reject society and live alone in the wilderness as a free agent, as an independent agent, as an agent of chaos, so to speak, and that these lone wolves are somehow more noble, more strong, more free than those who choose to live in packs. And it's really easy to see where this type of thinking comes from, because when you think of a wolf, you usually picture something like this. A lone wolf running through the snow, ears perked up, smelling the wind, cape flowing behind him, just like a Roman emperor. Or maybe you picture something like this. A lone wolf howling at the moon, expressing his raw emotions to the world. You might even picture something like this. A lone wolf lurking in the shadows, striking fear into the hearts of men, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And none of these images scream teamwork. In fact, if you go on to other media, you will see that lone wolves are usually portrayed as stronger, smarter, more capable, and more interesting than their packmates. And this is especially true in fiction, where writers can take creative liberties with how they portray their characters. Take Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, for example. She is considered to be a lone wolf because she doesn't follow any orders without questioning them. She follows her own code of honor and lives by her own standards, which often puts her at odds with the people around her. Or what about Aragorn from Lord of the Rings? He was a ranger who lived in the forest and avoided contact with other people. He didn't trust anyone, and he didn't believe that anyone could be trusted. This made him a lone wolf in a story full of packs. However, what if the lone wolf isn't actually a lone wolf at all? What if every single wolf is a pack animal that desperately seeks company? Let's talk about that. If you think about it, there's no such thing as a lone wolf. Not really. In the wild, wolves are known to live in groups called packs, and these packs consist of several members, including an alpha male and female, their adult children, and the pups. Lone wolves don't exist in nature because wolves need each other to survive. Wolves rely on each other to hunt large prey, to defend their territory from rivals, and to raise their pups. Even if a wolf could survive on its own, it wouldn't be able to do any of those things. So the idea of the lone wolf is just a myth. It's a fantasy that we humans have created in our minds, because we want to believe that it's possible to be truly independent, truly strong, and truly free. We want to believe that we can go it alone in this world and make it on our own terms. But the truth is that we are social creatures. We need other people. We need other wolves to survive. But what about those wolves that you see in movies and TV shows? Well, those are usually just wolves that have been captured and trained by humans. They may seem like lone wolves to us, but in reality, they're just acting out the roles that we've given them. They're just doing what they've been taught to do. In fact, some of these wolves are actually domestic dogs. Dogs are domesticated wolves that have been selectively bred by humans for certain behaviors, and one of those behaviors is obedience. Domestic dogs are typically very obedient animals, and they'll do what their owners tell them to do because they want to please their owners. That's why you see them in movies and TV shows playing the roles of lone wolves. It's not because they're actually lone wolves. It's just because they've been trained to be obedient and do what their owners want them to do. In fact, there's never been a single documented case of a truly wild wolf living alone on purpose. Every wolf that has ever been observed, living alone, was either kicked out of its pack or was a juvenile that had not yet found a new pack to join. And let me be clear, a wolf being kicked out of its pack or being a juvenile that's looking for a new pack is not the same thing as being a lone wolf. A wolf being kicked out of its pack or being a juvenile that's looking for a new pack is dangerous, desperate, and incredibly hard. Being kicked out of a pack or being a juvenile looking for a new pack means that a wolf will have to fend for itself, and it won't have the protection of its packmates. This can make hunting much more difficult, and it also makes them much more vulnerable to attacks from other wolves. Not to mention that most of the time the food that they manage to scavenge or hunt is going to be stolen from them. Just think about a mother with pups. She would never allow another wolf to steal her kill, because her pups depend on her for food. But a lone wolf? Well, they can take your kill. So the truth is that being a lone wolf is not a badge of honor. It's not something to aspire to. It's not a sign of strength, independence, or freedom. No, being a lone wolf is dangerous. It's difficult, and it sucks. It is not a lifestyle choice. It is a perilous, desperate, and temporary state of being. To truly be a lone wolf is to be a wolf without a pack, without the love of family, without the protection of a community, without the guidance of elders, and without the companionship of friends. A lone wolf is an outcast, a refugee, a vagabond, a drifter, a survivor. It is a wolf that has been pushed to the margins of society, shunned by its own kind, rejected by its own family, abandoned by its own pack. And let's be honest, who wants to be a lone wolf? Who wants to be an outcast, a refugee, a vagabond, a drifter, a survivor? No one. We all want to be part of a pack, part of a community, part of a family. We all want to feel the warmth of companionship, the comfort of belonging, the joy of friendship. We all want to be loved, to be accepted, to be part of something bigger than ourselves, because that's what makes us human. That's what makes us wolf. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking that I'm just making this stuff up, but the truth is that everything I've said can be backed up by science. There are studies that show that wolves need other wolves to survive. There are studies that show that wolves that are kicked out of their packs or are juveniles looking for a new pack have a very difficult time surviving. And there are studies that show that wolves that are part of a pack are much more likely to be successful hunters. So there's no such thing as a lone wolf. Only lone lies. And if you think that I'm wrong, if you think that the lone wolf is real, then I challenge you to go out into the forest right now and try to live like a lone wolf for a week. Go ahead, do it. See how long you can survive without a pack. See how long you can survive alone. I bet you won't last a day. Maybe a few days if you're lucky. But sooner or later, you'll be begging to be part of a pack again. You'll be begging to be part of a community, a family, a group of friends. Because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to be part of a pack. And if you still don't believe me, if you still think that the lone wolf is real, then I challenge you to go out into the forest right now and find a lone wolf. Find one. I bet you can't. Why? Because they don't exist. They're a myth. They're a fantasy. They're a fairy tale. They're a lie. There's never been a truly wild wolf that has lived its entire life alone. Every wolf needs a pack. Every wolf needs friends. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be together. Thank you for watching.